Okay. So you know how sometimes you're scrolling through social media
Uh-huh.
and you see these couples and they just seem so perfect
Yeah.
and their lives are amazing and you're just like, ugh.
I know exactly what you mean.
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Oh,
Yeah, it
fun.
should be really interesting. We're looking at this op-ed called
Okay.
The Impact of Social Media on Marital Relationships
Mm.
Between Reality and Illusion.
Hmm. That sounds pretty relevant to a lot of people.
I think so. I mean, I know I relate to it.
For sure.
But yeah, it basically looks at how all that picture-perfect stuff online,
Yeah.
how it can really warp our views of what relationships should be like.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
Like it sets up these crazy expectations
that's right.
that most of us can never actually meet in real life.
Right. It's like, it's that classic thing of comparing your behind the scenes
Right.
to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. And this op-ed does a great job of breaking that down.
Okay, so what's the author's main argument?
So the author really emphasizes this huge gap between the image that influencers project online
Mm.
and their actual reality, behind the scenes.
Okay, I'm listening.
So like the author gives this example of how we see these influencers waking up,
Uh-huh.
looking all, energetic and vibrant.
Right.
And meanwhile, the rest of us are like hitting snooze 5 times.
Totally. I need that extra 10 minutes.
Exactly. But it's easy to forget that for those influencers,
Yeah.
that perfect morning look is probably thanks to a whole team of people.
Oh, yeah. You mean like the hair and makeup people?
Yeah, and the lighting and the
Yeah.
photographer, and then probably someone editing the photos and videos afterwards.
Right. It's basically a full-blown production.
Exactly. So it's like we're comparing our messy real lives to this totally manufactured image.
Yeah, that's so true. It's not even a fair comparison.
No, it's not. And that's where I think this whole thing gets kind of dangerous.
What do you mean dangerous?
Well, like you said, when we're constantly bombarded with these idealized images of relationships, it can really start to mess with our expectations for our own relationships.
Okay, so you...
Like the author talks about how these comparisons can lead to like unfair criticism.
Oh, yeah.
One partner might start nitpicking the other, saying
so-
things like, why can't you be more romantic like so-and-so?
Right. Or why don't we ever go on those amazing vacations like they do?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it can also just really damage your self-esteem.
Yeah, definitely. When you're constantly feeling like you're not measuring up.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's not just about looks or material things either.
Right.
It's like this whole vibe of effortless happiness and connection.
Yeah, like they never seem to argue or have any problem.
Exactly. And that can make you feel like your own relationship is somehow lacking.
And that's where those feelings of dissatisfaction come in.
Totally. And the op-ed points out that it makes us overlook all the real-life pressures that every couple faces.
Like what kind of pressures?
Just like the day-to-day stuff like work and bills and kids and family.
Right, all the things that nobody really posts about on social media.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
we forget that even those picture-perfect couples have to deal with real life too.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the illusion.
For sure.
Mm.
So what do we do about it? How do we protect ourselves from all this?
Well, luckily the author has some good advice on that.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So they suggest, first of all, just becoming aware.
Aware of what?
Aware of how social media makes us feel,
Oh, okay.
Like, do certain accounts trigger those negative comparisons or those feelings of inadequacy?
Yeah,
And if they do, then maybe it's time to unfollow or mute them.
I like that. Just taking control of your own feed.
Exactly. And then another thing they talk about is really appreciating your partner's strengths.
Oh, that's so important.
Yeah, like what are the things that make your partner special and unique?
Mhm.
And then focusing on those things instead of comparing them to some idealized image online.
So basically shifting our focus from what's missing to what we already have.
Exactly. And then finally, they talk about setting boundaries with social media.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, it could be anything from limiting your screen time to having certain times of day where you're completely unplugged.
Right, like no phones at the dinner table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just making sure that social media isn't taking over your life and your relationship.
Yeah, those are all great tips. I think the key takeaway here is realizing that social media often shows us an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real life. And we have to be mindful of how that affects our perceptions.
Yeah. And I would add to that, as you're scrolling through your feed today,
Yeah.
just take a moment to ask yourself, is this post inspiring me or is it making me feel bad?
Oh, that's such a good question to ask.
And then even more importantly, think about how you can use social media to actually strengthen your relationships.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
Instead of letting it tear them down.
So it's all about being intentional with how we use it.
Exactly.
Food for thought, for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Oh, wow. That went by fast.
I know, right? But this is definitely a topic worth exploring further.
Absolutely.
So yeah, keep thinking about it and see how you can apply these insights to your own life.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.